Out of absolutely nowhere, Blizzard just shadow dropped a brand new patch for World of Warcraft. Although, patch might not even be the right word because it's a completely new type of gameplay mode. World of Warcraft Plunderstorm is a 60-player Battle Royale mode taking place right inside of the popular MMORPG, and I want to preface this video with the following statement. It's pretty damn fun! While most of the Warcraft community is probably currently trying to figure out how I just said World of Warcraft and is fun in a single sentence without combusting into flames like the heathen I am, let me just quickly clarify that this is not a fully fledged structured review or analysis of this new game, but rather my first impressions of Plunderstorm after spending a bit of time with the latest Trend Chaser Battle Royale to give you a decent overview on what you can expect from it, how it works, and maybe give my 2 cents on what could be improved if some of the elusive Blizzard devs happen to see this video. Oh, and like, comment, subscribe, blah blah blah, you know the drill. Thanks. As with any Battle Royale title, your goal is to be the last orc, elf, gnome, whatever standing from a random group of 60 players. Well, the last or last 2, since the mode is played either solo or in pairs. While solo is the self-explanatory Darwinistic survival of the fittest, fighting in pairs may sound weird at first, but makes a lot of sense in the actual matches. See, while Plunderstorm is part of the WoW brand and certainly looks the part, it doesn't really play much like you would traditionally expect from the grandpa of modern MMOs. The biggest difference is the absence of tap targeting. Almost every ability can be dodged, so one-on-one battles can turn into some really tense duels of trying to bait your opponent's skills and striking while the iron is hot. And while that sounds cool on paper, it often results in one of 3 scenarios. Either one player is severely better than the other, making for very unfair matches, or the duels take way too long, dragging games on forever. Or in the third case, the losing player just uses a movement ability they picked up and books it. This is where the pairs come into play. By making sure there are pretty much always at least 4 players in any given battle, chaos is likely to ensue, giving even lesser skilled players the ability to land some surprise kills and rank higher than they would on their own. Of course, this can also come at a disadvantage, since your random partner might be a lot better or worse than you, affecting your own enjoyment a lot. Overall, while solo can be fun on its own, it also feels severely lacking in both tension and excitement as well as strategy. There's just something cool about having to strategize on the go with your partner to build some devastating ability combinations that just aren't possible on your own, and always having someone to watch your back, or get steamrolled by another pair because your partner decides to randomly sprint into another direction because he saw a chest. I've been calling this a mode, so some people might be confused if they haven't looked much into this yet. Plunderstorm is played from the main menu of the Dragonflight installation, meaning that you do not actually need to go somewhere in the game with your character, like with any other event before this one. Heck, you don't even need to own Dragonflight or any version of WoW. As long as you have a World of Warcraft subscription, you can play Plunderstorm. The characters you use here are also completely unique to the mode. You don't pick one of your existing ones with their visuals intact, but create a new WoW character for the mode, with every existing race and customization option automatically unlocked for you to play around with. After queuing up, the game takes you to a little lobby area where you can walk around here, check out some funny little Easter eggs, try out abilities, and talk to Okay, whoever thought it was a good idea to give every player the barrel ability in the lobby needs therapy. Just let me talk to the NPC to change my transmog and check my reward Oh, fuck it. The Warfront version of the Arathi Highlands serves as the arena for Plunderstorm. Thank God they used it for something enjoyable for once, and does a pretty good job at it. At the start of a match, every player will drop into the zone from a flying mount that controls like it had a bit too much of Sky Captain Crag's boost, and go on to either hunt for monsters, treasure, or other players from the get-go. With Arathi being a rather large but flat zone, you can usually see enemies coming from far away and plan accordingly, while spending the first few minutes of a game to bolster up your pirate hero by slaying NPCs and finding chests for XP and loot. Each player has a basic melee attack and a healing ability, but everything else, 2 offensive and utility skills as well as a single item slot, need to be filled by roaming the world and looting everything you see. With a decent number of potential abilities to find, most players will probably come across some that work well with their preferred playstyle. Magic abilities that hit hard but need time to cast, quick melee strikes that are hard to dodge but also leave you open, as well as tons of movement and defensive abilities are there to be tried out and combined. While they seem fairly balanced at first glance, and since the game is a lot more skill-based than regular WoW combat, there certainly are some abilities that give you an edge when you happen across them. The Fae Form, for example, is a movement ability that not only increases your speed and turns you into a cute glowy animal, but also makes you take almost no damage while transformed, allowing for an easy escape from most tight spots and thus tremendously increasing your chance of survival. Remember, just because running away makes you a little pussy doesn't mean it's not a valuable strategy to win in the long run. Still, shame on you. Even though they did a fairly good job at integrating evasion-based combat abilities into a tap target engine, some abilities also definitely work better than others with this. Where some typical WoW-ish abilities like Searing Axe or Star Bomb work pretty much flawlessly, I've seen more than my fair share of mana bombs or slicing winds that just go right through an enemy, wasting potential damage and sometimes even costing players a match. After grabbing some nice skills and leveling up a bit, which incidentally increases your HP and damage, so it's vital for staying alive, the map will start becoming smaller and smaller as time goes on, forcing even docile players into confrontation by necessity, since they cannot survive in the encroaching storm for long. This tried and true Battle Royale concept works splendidly and doesn't really need much more explanation. You can't run forever and are at some point forced to face your enemies, making matches tight, exciting, and pretty damn quick. I haven't played a match that went on for more than 15 minutes, and even those that came close to that only managed to do so because the opposing players were really good and used the last bit of space to their advantage. If you're familiar with how dying works in World of Warcraft, it's a little different here, where in the normal game you'd either respawn at your revival point in PvP or have to lay there dead until your group finished the boss fight in PvE. Plunderstorm allows you one of 2 options after biting the dust. Stick around and watch the remaining players tug it out, or leave the match and queue up for the next one right away. You don't lose any potential rewards by not sticking around, so if you don't happen to want to see the end of a match and waste your time, just get right back into playing. This fast loop also works magic on the motivational aspect of this mode. Even if you get killed, there isn't much time to be mad. You don't sit in a battleground for 15 minutes watching your team slowly lose ground more and more because they're too dumb to understand the basics of MMO PvP. You just go in and try again, learning from your mistakes and having some lighthearted fun. Something I've noticed that might be interesting for some players is that this mode works surprisingly well with the built-in controller support WoW has introduced in Dragonflight. While it takes a little to get used to, the fact that you only have a handful of abilities to juggle as well as no tap targeting shenanigans to work around, you can pretty easily play this lying on the couch while Plunderstorm runs on your TV. It's a lot of fun to experience WoW this way, especially with how bad the controller support works in the actual game. Like any modern online game, of course, Plunderstorm showers you with a rewards track that you unlock by playing matches and earning plunder. Plunder is earned through pretty much any activity in the game, be it killing enemies or monsters, looting chests, or even completing random spontaneous quests the game throws at you. This will unlock cosmetics like new weapons and armor for Plunderstorm, as well as some items for retail and classic World of Warcraft. Want some cool transmogs, pets, and mounts? Better start playing and work on that Renown track. Honestly, this is a battle pass in anything but name, and it does a decent enough job at keeping you motivated, although it is still a far cry from how well it works in genre-leading titles like Fortnite. There's just not nearly enough things in the current state of the game that give you plunder, which can kind of feel demotivating when you finish up a good match, maybe even win, and get less renown than in your last match because that random quest didn't pop up this time. In fact, it seems like there isn't even some placement-based reward system at all. Why the hell not? I can see not wanting to make players feel bad for dropping out early, but they should absolutely be rewarded for playing well and staying in the fight for long. Right now, the best way to earn Renown is by either just playing one match per day because it gives a hefty amount of bonus rewards, or joining a match, doing the quest you get, and then killing yourself by running into the storm. Doing that over and over again is the fastest way to max out your rewards track. I'm not shitting you. It's not fun, and while I don't agree that the rewards should be the only motivator for playing a game mode, they definitely are a part of the motivation, and shouldn't be easier to unlock by cheating the system than actually, you know, playing the game? World of Warcraft Plunderstorm shows how a creative approach can revitalize an old game. Not that a Battle Royale is very creative, but I doubt a lot of people expected WoW of all games to put one out, especially one that feels so fun and fresh. This mode sets a precedent for a new kind of World of Warcraft that combines its timeless art style, captivating world and lore, and unforgettable music with modern gameplay modes, and might allow it to stay relevant in not just the MMO, but gaming space as a whole for a lot longer than many people may have suspected. I could absolutely see this becoming a main staple in the Battle Royale market, with tons of potential for future seasons with different arenas taken from famous places of Azeroth, as well as fun themes that go far beyond the current pirate stuff. Despite having a lot of fun with the mode, there are certainly some things that can be improved upon in the future, if Blizzard decides to turn this into a permanent addition to the game. The engine, especially in regards to hit detection and feedback, could use a lot of work, as does the general balancing of the abilities. Another big problem is how badly thought out the reward system feels. Honestly, the whole thing seems like a fun passion project from the devs that had some form of progression system shoehorned in by executives to make as many people as possible try it out. And last but certainly not least, why is this not free? I get it, the WoW fanbase tends to be pretty weirdly elitist about giving players free access to their game, but this mode is primed as a potential entryway for new players into the Warcraft ecosystem, and before you argue about free-to-play players ruining communities, let's be real, the WoW community has long since gone to absolute shit, and there's really not a lot that can make it worse anymore. Give more people access to this fun little side game, make them interested in the world, characters, and feel of the game to make them into potential long-term players. Well, so much for my hot take of the day. Feel free to fight me about this in the comments. I'll try to answer any and all slander thrown my way for being right. And while you put your angry zugzugs into words, I'll be riding my drunk parrot into some more fun plunder battles. Toodles.